we covered quite a lot of material today, but Doug, perhaps you want to be the first to close us off, seeing as you led us off this afternoon with a few of your final thoughts.
Sure. I appreciate the opportunity again and learning from Rafael. Frankly, it's always nice to hear and good to know that I haven't cornered the markets on smarts and ability. Anyone could ask my family members and they would agree that that's the case. But I'm not so, I don't lack humility that I can't say that I've also learned. So key takeaways, I think, at least from my presentation, are as follows. Number one, in large measure, the independent contracting arrangement is still alive and well, although by snips and nips, the reality of the relationship and the enforceability of the relationship across, I think, all jurisdictions is being slowly eroded. Again, not getting into politics and not suggesting that's good or bad. I will say that it is troubling, at least from this chair, to think that the whole notion of independence in a work relationship is going to be lost. The entrepreneurial spirit sort of suggests the validity of an independent contractor relationship, and we should still be advising our clients, when possible, when appropriate, to pursue with an independent contractor's relationship. Just do it carefully and make certain, as is always the case, the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. Secondly, when it comes specifically to a construction setting, make certain, as Rafael has nicely pointed out, that your subcontractor agreements, your agreements with your subcontractors, do clearly define and state that this is an independent relationship, that you as the contractor, your client as the contractor, is not controlling means and methods, while your contractor may dictate schedules and even sequencing the work to be done, because a facility can only be built properly if the work is sequenced appropriately, notwithstanding some modicum of control by the general contractor over sequencing. Avoid any suggestion, and in reality and practice, avoid any actual control over means and methods of the work that has been contracted to be performed. And then lastly, again, in the construction setting, make certain that if you are performing work in a jurisdiction that has an anti-indemnity statute, that you don't eviscerate the enforceability of the subcontract, even in total, but certainly a particular provision, by suggesting that for your contractor client, it can pass all of its potential negligence exposure off to a subcontractor with a clause that suggests that the sub will defend, indemnify, and hold harmless the contractor, even for the contractor's own negligence.
Thank you so much, Doug. Rafael, we then went to you. Perhaps you want to close us out with a few of your key takeaways.
Sure, and then again, it was a pleasure co-presenting with Doug, and I learned a lot from his perspective, because I try and stay away from the construction stuff, so it's good to learn about sort of the intricacies there. I think from a global perspective, it is just important, if you're sitting on the side of the fence where you're the business owner or you're involved in a business, or if you're outside counsel, that in most jurisdictions the use of independent contractors is disfavored and is becoming more and more disfavored. So it just requires you to be more deliberate in your process for using independent contractors. And as Doug mentioned, crossing your T's and dotting your I's. And this is just not an area of the law or area of your business where you should sort of wing it or be willing to sort of take risks. If anything, you want to err on the side of caution and have everything buttoned up, because you're already sort of in an area where many regulators don't like what you're doing, and they're looking for a reason to blow what you're doing up. So you want to, you really want to be in a position where you have the strongest defense possible. And then as a second point in terms of that global perspective is every time you're thinking about imposing a restriction or imposing a requirement on an independent contractor, go back in your mind and say, this person is supposed to be in business for themselves. I need to treat them as a business owner, as someone who's in business doing services for other folks. And oftentimes that will sort of dictate the way you respond to them and the way you have a business relationship with them, as long as you sort of keep going back to that fact. This is a business, this is an independent business, and I need to treat them as such.